Greetings, beautiful earthlings. My name is Star. If you are new here, I don't know how you found me, but I am super glad you did. And if you are returning, y'all, the real MVP, you already know. I want to say, first off, if you guys are brand new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy to have you. And if you've been lurking for a while, why don't you go ahead and hit that little subscribe button down there, as well as the post notification bell so that you get notified every time I upload, because I don't upload regularly. So that'll help you out a whole lot. And another way to keep up with my content uploads is going to be across socials. I do have that information in the description box for you guys as always, but let's go ahead and get into today's video, friends. So this one is a topic that has been asked of me quite a few times to talk about, and I finally have found myself in a situation to do so. So you guys have seen the title, you know why we're here. We're going to be talking about rehoming a tarot deck. So as you guys know, I do have a lot of tarot decks. I have been so blessed to have well over 20 decks. A lot of them have been gifted to me from friends in our gift exchange in my Facebook group. So I am in such a beautiful position as far as tarot decks goes, and sometimes it gets a little hard to bond with all of them equally. So I do try to give each of them quite a few weeks of bonding time where it's just me and that deck. And we do spend a lot of time together every single day, shuffling, just talking, hanging out. Sometimes I'll put it either under my pillow or around my bed when I'm sleeping, and I hang out with it for quite a few weeks, just that one deck. And I try to, if I'm doing readings, use that deck, unless I'm doing a paid reading where I let the client pick which deck they're using. So for the most part, I do try to do everything I possibly can with a deck to bond with them. But what do you do when you have a deck that you can't quite bond with, right? It's a terrible feeling, especially if you personally bought that deck, right? Sometimes I know a lot of people, especially beginners, will feel a little like hurt by it, like a little betrayed, like what am I doing wrong that the deck doesn't want to bond with me, or why am I not getting a good vibe from this deck, right? I've seen that time and time again in our group, asked why am I not getting a good vibe from this deck. So people will always tell you to cleanse it, try to spend more time with it, make sure you're in a good mood when you're hanging out with it, right? Don't bring your yucky feelings into hang out with that deck, because that deck's gonna soak them all up like a sponge. So I have tried my very darndest to bond with this deck, okay? And we're talking about my universal weight here. So this deck was gifted to me by my friend Becky, and I'm very grateful for the gift, and I feel terrible that I have to rehome it because it was a gift to me. So as you guys know, I have talked about on my channel quite a few times my Vanessa Tarot, who was gifted to me by my friend Morgan a couple of years ago. And Morgan actually bought the Vanessa Tarot for himself, didn't quite vibe with it, said maybe you'll have some luck with it, and that's kind of what started my whole tarot journey. I have also talked about how weird my connection is with my Vanessa Tarot, right? And I didn't ever think it was because she was a secondhand deck. I did used to let a lot of people touch her and, you know, bring their energy into it, and I just kind of have a different connection with my Vanessa Tarot. We do have a strong bond. I can hear her. We do readings often. It's not like I have put her away and I don't touch her and I'm like, you're the black sheep, stay over there. I do still use her, but I feel like my Vanessa Tarot is, for lack of a better comparison, an adopted teenager, right? Like, she already had a whole life before me. She already has her own personality. She came with a lot of angst because she's been like abandoned, and I kind of was like, here, I will love you and bring you into my home, and I'll kind of roll with whatever you bring to my house, right? And that's the exact relationship that we have, where she's kind of angsty, she kind of still has her own issues, but I still love her, and we still try to work together on a regular basis, and sometimes we come together and we have a great time, and sometimes we don't work very well together. So that's just why I don't use my Vanessa Tarot often, but she has been used for many readings for the past 2 years, so she's gotten a good amount of use in her time. It's not like, you know, I'm abandoning her, but that's why I feel so very strongly about what I want to talk about with you guys today, because I do try my very best to bond with all of my decks, and I do usually readings with them after a couple of weeks to try to strengthen that bond. But it just so happened with my Universal Temperance, we never quite bonded, we never did readings, and I think that the reason for that is because I have 3 other Rider-Waite decks. So I have the Centennial, I have the Radiant, and I have the Mini, as well as the Universal. And the difference with the Universal as opposed to the other ones, clearly they're all pocket or mini editions, but the Universal has really thick cardstock. I was never a fan of shuffling this one. And the pictures are colored in color pencil, and it just never quite vibed with me as much as the others. And I do really love Temperance, don't get me wrong, I do love her. You guys have seen her on my channel a couple of times. I did my how to interview your tarot deck video with her so that you guys can see how, you know, the whole process works if you didn't want to watch my whole series, right? So that's just, I realized the other day, I try to go through at least once a week or once every 2 weeks or something and shuffle all of my decks. Just give them a good shuffle, give them a good positive energy. I sit there and I laugh and I have a good time with my daughter while I'm doing it, and I let her play with a spoof deck at the same time, and I'm watching something funny, and I try to keep a light-hearted feel and just imagine shuffling light energy into those decks to kind of awaken them, you know, reawaken them, reinvigorate them, and let them know, like, I haven't forgotten about you. I promise we've got tons of stuff to do together, you know. But I realized there were only 2 decks I'm not super closely bonded with, and that is my Biddy Tarot and my Universal Tarot. And the Biddy Tarot I have actually done quite a few readings with. When I was bonding with it, I felt like I couldn't quite bond very well with it through the normal just shuffling, just sleeping with it. And shuffling, again, the Biddy Tarot has extremely thick cardstock, so that was kind of off-putting to me as well. So I had to incorporate her into readings, and when I was when we were doing lots of free readings in our group back in the day, I was using the Biddy Tarot for quite a while so that we could strengthen our bond. And I don't know why poor Temperance got left out in the whole bonding time. Like, she just never quite got the bonding time that she needed, the bonding time that she deserved. And every single one of my decks, I can look at them and I can remember how much time I spent with them, and I just never quite did that with Temperance. I realized we never did readings together, and all I do is shuffle her every once in a while. But because I have 3 other Rider-Waite decks, my Mini is my Little Spitfire deck, reads for me often. My Little Spitfire loves reading for just me, but has read for other people. Same thing with my Centennial Enigma. I have retired both of them for just my personal readings because we have the strongest bond out of all of my decks, and Enigma has read for others, but even when we did those readings, Enigma was kind of like, I don't want to do this, I don't, you know, I felt that very strongly. Enigma likes reading for me and me only. So I have retired them. Joe, my Radiant, you guys already know, is being used in the Learn the Rider-Waite Tarot series, which will pick up eventually, I promise. And I'm writing all of the keywords on the borders of those cards. So Joe wants to be used as a teaching deck, and I will be using Joe as a teaching deck. But poor Temperance is the middle child of my Rider-Waites. Just never quite got used, never quite bonded with her, never quite felt called to do readings with her. Whenever I would put her in the mix to let clients pick their decks, they never quite picked her. And I feel terrible. I really do. I genuinely feel terrible because I have bonded with all of my decks. I spend lots of time with all of my decks, and I don't quite know why poor Temperance got left out, and I feel terrible, and I really wish that we could strengthen the bond, but I feel kind of a chasm between us. I feel like I can't quite reach her, and she doesn't really want to be reached by me, and it just feels like she feels abandoned. Like, she has this energy of, you use all of the other ones, you don't quite use me, you don't really want to use me. I really feel this big disconnect between me and Temperance, and I feel horrible for it. So I've been trying to figure out what to do with her. I didn't want to start using her for like YouTube readings or something. Temperance really does not like a lot of attention, I have noticed. She really doesn't jump out really loud like the others. She doesn't really put herself forward. She's very quiet, very reserved, at least to me. That could also be because of the bond that we have. So I have run this by her quite a few times, and it just seems like every time I pick her up, she kind of reiterates it to me that that's what she wants to do. So my Aunt Rose, you guys already know, my Aunt Rose also has a tarot channel on YouTube. She does other things, but it started off with tarot. So she has a couple of decks. I know she has the Modern Witch deck, she's got the Ink and Intuition deck, and the Nightmare Before Christmas deck. I'm trying to think. She's got a couple of decks, but they're all very large cards, like, you know, like the Light Seers, the Modern Witch. They're very large cards. Oh, she has the Light Seers, there you go. But they're all very huge cards, and she is like me. She has small hands. She really appreciates those smaller decks, and she's just never quite had one. So every time I am playing with Temperance, I think of Rose, because Rose, for some reason, her card always comes out in my decks as Temperance. Rose very closely connects with Temperance. The name Temperance, she loves bones, which is, her name is Temperance. You know, there's just a whole thing around Rose and the Temperance card, like me and the Star card. So every time I pick up Temperance, I'm thinking about Rose, and it seems like Temperance has kind of picked up on that. And I have asked her quite a few times, you know, would she mind being rehomed? Would she mind if I sent her to Rose? And it seems like she really is open to the idea. I'm not saying she's gung-ho about it, but it's because she's not really gung-ho about anything with me. So I think that's what it is. I really feel like it's with me. It's just the way that we vibe together. And again, I feel terrible because I'm so grateful to Becky for gifting this to me. I don't, you know, I don't want her to feel like she wasted her money or wasted the gift, because it was a beautiful, amazing gift. You guys have seen, I think at least 2 or 3 videos with Temperance. Like, it's not like I completely forgot about her or something. I know she's there, I know she exists, and I have really tried to bond with her, and we just didn't. And that happens often. You guys, I want you guys to understand that as beginners, some people really feel like they have to force a connection. If they're not quite bonding with a deck, they feel like they have to force a connection, because there is an old adage that you shouldn't let anybody else touch your tarot decks. You shouldn't regift your tarot decks. You shouldn't take gifted tarot decks, right? I mean, like secondhand tarot decks. Clearly, you're supposed to take gifted tarot decks, but not like secondhand tarot decks. So I feel like that's why a lot of beginners won't rehome their tarot decks. They'll kind of put them away if they're not vibing with them. They'll just really put them away, never touch them again, completely forget about them. You know, and some people use them for decoration at that point, when they start like decorating boxes with the cards or making them into wall pieces and things like that, because they just never quite bonded with it. And I didn't want to do that. I don't want Temperance to feel abandoned. I don't like this feeling that Temperance feels. I feel a very heavy, sad energy when I play with Temperance personally, because she does feel like there is that, for lack of a better word, abandon on my part. And I wanted to do something to make her feel happy, because all of my decks have, you know, fun, amazing personalities. They all have a great time doing what they do, and I want Temperance to feel the same way. So I have decided, and I asked my aunt how she feels about having a secondhand deck, and she said she doesn't mind at all. So because Rose wants a pocket deck, Rose also does not have a Rider-Waite. I said I've got 4 of them, and I never ever did readings with Temperance, so I don't feel like there's too much of my energy on this deck. It does still smell brand new. It's kind of ridiculous. I was putting all of the cards back in order yesterday, and they still smell brand new, like a brand new deck of cards, and I'm tripping. I feel so bad that she still smells brand new, you guys. And the only reason why this box is a little beat up, I know you can see that there, is yesterday when I was putting this back together, my daughter got a hold of it and decided she was going to start scratching at it, and I'm like, this would have been completely perfect and put back together, but now it's got a little character, so you know this came from someone else. But this is actually the smallest of all of my Rider-Waite pocket decks as well. I have noticed the Universal is slightly smaller than the Centennial and the Radiant, and it's comparable in size to the Biddy Tarot. The Biddy Tarot is just a little bit wider, but It's about the same size as the Biddy Tarot. And for some reason, when I start, like the size of the Biddy Tarot kind of bothers me. I wish the Biddy Tarot was slightly bigger because it's short and it's fat. Again, I have bonded with it. I have read with it. I'm still going to use it. I'm not going to abandon it. You know what I mean? But it's just this, once I start getting any smaller than the Centennial and the Radiant, it just doesn't quite feel right to me. So again, I don't know how this is going to go, and I have implored the idea to Rose to maybe make a video about what it's like bonding with a secondhand deck and how the readings are and how she feels about the deck and stuff like that. Clearly, I have no control over whether she does that or not. I would really love for her to make a video, but chances are, I know Rose, she's just going to tell me personally what it's like and just not make a video, and that's totally fine. She doesn't have to, you know what I mean? She doesn't want to make a video. I can't force her to make a video, but I do want to know how it is for her because, like I said, I have only one secondhand deck. It is the one that I started with, so I didn't know any better at the time what the energy was, what the energy felt like, how to bond with it, how to do anything with it. So now, having 2 years of experience under my belt, I would really love to personally, I think it'd be a lot of fun to have a secondhand deck too, for the same reason my Vanessa Tarot feels like an adopted teenager to me. It's a lot of fun. It's a new adventure because all of my decks are brand new and they all come straight to me and nobody else touches them, and the only decks that my daughter has ever touched has been the Golden Thread and the Messenger Oracle, and then, you know, the spoof deck. I don't let her touch any other cards because she drools all over them and she bends them, and it hurts my heart to see that for the cards, so I only let her play with her little spoof deck since I've got the actual real deck now. But I did want to make a video about this. I'm sorry, I know my whole personal thing got intertwined in the story, but it is something that is an issue, and a lot of beginners talk to me about it and they're constantly asking about it. And to be honest, you guys, there is no right answer, okay? So if there is a deck that you're not bonding with, you're not quite doing well with, you bought it, you cleansed it, you're doing readings with it, you're trying to do readings with it, you're trying your best to bond with it, you know, how long do you keep that up before you realize you can't do it anymore, right? Especially for a lot of people, when they have that happen, they just kind of end up buying another deck. They're like, I'm not vibing with this one. I want a deck that I vibe with. And they kind of just buy another one. So that's what I wanted to kind of make this video about. You guys, it is totally okay to rehome a tarot deck to someone who is willing. Please don't just drop a tarot deck on someone's door and say it's your problem now. That's terrible. That's terrible tarot etiquette. You're going to make your deck feel terrible, and you're going to make that person feel really awkward, especially if they're not into tarot. So please definitely run it by your deck, run it by the person you want to gift them to, and give your deck time to acclimate to the idea. Like I said, I have asked Temperance this quite a few times. The last few times I have shuffled her, I've asked and I've asked and I've asked, and that was long before I even sent the idea to Rose. I was honestly just going to send it to her, surprise, here's a deck, but like I said, that's kind of really bad tarot etiquette, and that's going to make your deck feel terrible. So I wanted to make sure that Rose was okay having a secondhand deck, because Rose and I are so close. She does know my energy. We did grow up together. We do still talk every single day, so I don't feel like my energy is going to be a huge bombardment on her life if she does have something that is bonded with me or slightly bonded with me. And I did cleanse the deck and bless it and package it before I send it off, because I wanted to make sure at least it was okay for shipping. And I told Rose the same thing. Please, when you get it, bless it, cleanse it before you start reading with it and bonding with it, just in case she incurs any stress in shipping, you know. So in here I do have a little note, a little like goodbye note from Temperance, a little note to Rose, and there is a big stick of selenite in here. I know you guys can hear that rolling around, but this is still intact. I still have the title card, I still have the book in there and everything. And you know, I feel so super terrible, but I really hope that Temperance finds a beautiful new beginning with Rose. I hope she has a great new adventure. I hope she feels reinvigorated. I hope she feels super, super loved, and I hope that she feels useful. You know what I mean? That's my biggest thing, is I feel terrible that she does not feel useful. She does not feel like I want to read with her, and that's not how I want my deck to feel ever, because all of the other ones, even if I use them once in a while, they do still have a really happy, really invigorated energy to them. So I definitely don't want Temperance to feel any type of way toward me, and I don't want that to affect our readings in the future either. So I really, 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 really want to make her feel good. I want to make her feel happy, and I really think that Rose will benefit a lot from it. Again, she likes the smaller decks. She does not have a Rider-Waite. She's been wanting one, but she just kind of doesn't want to put the money into a Rider-Waite. She is like me, she didn't really vibe with the Rider-Waite to begin with, so I think this will help her a whole lot. I also think the whole colored pencil imagery is going to fit really well with Rose's vibe. Rose is a very artistic person, and I thought it was a really cool idea that the images were colored pencil, but just not vibing with it. I'm sorry, Temperance. I feel terrible. Like, I keep putting it off, putting her in the envelope. Like, I don't want her to feel bad. I really don't. But I know that it's going to be good for her to go somewhere else, to a home that is more loving. You know what I mean? And I just kind of, I think of it as like rehoming a pet. You know, if you really have to, you're really in the position that you cannot keep that pet for whatever reason, even though you loved it and you bonded with it. Or even if you just fostered a pet for a little while, that's kind of how I'm trying to look at it. Like, I fostered her for a little while, and now I'm sending her over to Rose for her forever home. So I really, really hope that any of you beginners who came to this video today looking to see if it's okay to rehome a tarot deck, yes, 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 please give that tarot deck the beautiful life it deserves, okay? That's what they want. They want to read. That's what they're for, right? So if you guys are just having super bad trouble bonding with a deck, it's totally okay. You know, there's no right answer, you guys. You're totally valid in your feelings, okay? So if you've bonded with that deck or tried to bond with that deck for 6 months, for a year, even for the past month, you're just completely not vibing with it, and you don't want it, and you want another deck, and you know in your heart of hearts, you're gonna put that deck away and not touch it. Please, please, please try and rehome it. I know that Brittany over at the Witch's Closet does have secondhand decks as well for the same reason. She does kind of give them away in some kind of yearly thing. I don't really remember what that was, but she does do that as well for people who just don't vibe with their decks. They give them to her and she gives them away as gifts. That way we can try to get all of the unbonded tarot decks some homes and get them some good loving energy and get them some use, because that's all they want. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you made it to the end, please give me a big thumbs up. I'm so sorry, Temperance! Ah, girl, that was on my foot. It's okay. That was the perfect ending. She got my foot real good. If I had editing, I would totally edit that out because that was so loud and I feel so bad. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, friend. I know Rose is gonna comment on that. Poor thing! Alright, you guys. I need to be done with this video. If you guys made it to the end, please give me a big thumbs up. If you didn't like this video because I dropped Temperance, that's okay. Thumbs down. You don't have to like my video. I feel so bad. I feel so bad. Say whatever you want in the comments because y'all do anyway. And I really hope you... I can't get over that. I really hope you guys have a beautiful, wonderful day wherever you are when this video reaches you, my friends. And I can't wait to see you in the next one. Namaste.